Okay, we want to take a few minutes here to talk about the ball flight laws. The old ball flight laws versus what TrackMan has shown us are now the true ball flight laws. Those have changed quite a bit. Don't want to get overly complicated with this, but quite simply, what we're looking at here are these clubs on the ground. We're going to try and show what a fade. We've talked about a lot of straight shots. We're going to talk about what maybe a fade would be as far as how you would set up your stance and how you would align your golf club. So we use this first one right here as that's our target line. That's right down that way, straight on that line is where we want the ball to end up, okay? We've got something in our way, maybe a tree right there on that flight line that we need to get around to get it back to our target line, okay? So this club right here is going to represent where I want the club face to be aligned to, which is going to be, let's say, 10 yards left of this tree that's in the way. We're going to fade it 10 yards. And this club on the left, my left, your right, is going to be the swing direction that I'm trying to swing onto, okay? So the problem is, what we'd see, if you would ask somebody, you know, maybe 15 years ago, if you wanted to hit a slice, what would the club face be at impact? They'd say, oh, it would be, you'd have the club face open. And that's the way we were told, okay? If you wanted to hit a hook, you would have the club face closed at impact. Now, what we're talking about here is actually starting the ball left to bring it back to the right, which would be a fade. And if that's the case, the club head, as we're finding out with TrackMan, is 75% of direction, okay? And the swing circle, the direction we're swinging on, is 25%. So here we go. There's where I'm trying to get the ball to end up. Here's where I want to start the club head, and I'm swinging quite a bit left of where my club face is aligned. So if I swing more left than my club face is aligned left of the target, I'm going to produce a left to right spin that'll bring it back to the target line. So you can see if that's the case, my club face, there's where I want the ball to end up. My club face is closed to where I want the ball to end up, but it is open to my swing direction. So we got two different things here. The club face, as I line up to the target, is to the left or closed. And if I swing more left than my club face is aligned, I can impart that spin that I want to bring it back to the target. And the opposite is true if you're going to hit a draw. The club face will keep that same position here where I want the ball to end up on that side of the tree. To hit a draw, that club face is going to be open to the target, but it's going to be closed to my swing direction, which is going to be more to the right. So there's a real quick explanation on the club face and how it's aligned and how it is truly open on a fade and closed on a draw.
So Jerry, back inside, I mentioned the concept, the D-plane. You want to come on in here and explain to everybody a little bit more on what the D-plane is?
Sure. So the hula hoop here is going to represent our inverted plane.
Right. And
how that's going to change from club to club. The wedge would be more of an upright look to this,
like
hula hoop,
like
and
this.
The driver would be more of a down look for that hula hoop.
Right.
Okay? And just, I mean, real quickly, Steve, that would be with a wedge.
Well, let's see. Here's a 90-degree or a perfect Ferris wheel would be 90-degree reading on TrackMan. Okay, so the pitching wedge might be 60 degrees roughly.
Right.
And on a driver's a longer, flatter club, so it might lay down a little bit more into maybe a 45 or 50 degree incline, which is going to change a lot of how we do things to make the ball go straight, right?
Okay, right.
Okay?
Okay, so getting to the left and right portion, which is the second part.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
So if we're hitting a pitching wedge, this is not going to be flush to that stick and right down the target line. Since we need that negative angle of attack,
we got to hit down on the ball.
It's going to be, we'll call it 6 degrees down.
Right, right.
And we know at 2 to 1, it's got to be 3 degrees across to the left if
to
you're
the
a
left.
right-hander.
Okay, so if we're hitting, what'd you say, 6 down or 5 down?
Well, we'll talk about a pitching wedge. So we'll say 6 down.
6 down. Okay, so we're going to be hitting 6 degrees down on a pitching wedge. Okay.
6 down with the wedge, so it's going to be 3 to the left.
We'd have to swing 3 degrees to the left with our swing plane. Right, right.
So you can see how this is now tilting.
Okay.
It's not flush to the flight line anymore.
Right. So talk about how that relates to the ball position here and how that's creating our downstrike. If you want to maybe move that iron right around the
let's throw the driver over here. We'll get to that later.
Move that iron just around here where the rubber meets the road here.
So as
right
we
along
take
the
our,
hoop here.
Yeah. So as we take our wedge, that plane going through, down and through, is going to be a lot more down and left.
Yes. Got it.
Okay. And if we had let's say we moved to somewhere in the middle of the bag to a 6-iron.
Right. Then we're going to take this and straighten it a little bit.
That's
It's still going to be left, but a 6-iron, a good angle of attack on a 6-iron might be what, 2.5, 3 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay, something like that. So I'm going to be going about 1.5 degrees to the left instead of 3. So I'm not going to be opening up my foot as much, right?
Correct. Now we're adjusting our stance to make this plane optimal for us.
That's how we're adjusting to create this left or right plane.
It's important not to go, we're not just taking our arms and changing our arm
Yeah, we're
swing.
not, We're
actually setting up to allow for this plane to fit the club that we have.
So what you're saying is that with the Mike Austin method, we're able to create whatever swing plane we want with just one swing for every club in the bag, instead of having to try to manipulate to try to create a new swing plane for every club to make the ball go straight. That seems pretty simple.
That's right, because golf's hard enough with one swing, let alone 2 or 3.
Right.
We got one swing, we're just changing the swing direction. We're not changing the golf swing.
Now show us how you're going to do that with your feet here, okay?
Okay. We'll have this as our parallel flight line.
Okay, so this is this club on the ground is going right to our flagstick, right where we're aiming, right down the middle of the fairway here.
We'll use this one as
excellent
our line of our feet.
Okay, good.
Let's make this as simple as possible.
Yes, simple as possible is best.
Okay, so if I've got a pitching wedge, I would not want this line parallel with that line.
Right, because when you're catching it now, when I bring the hula hoop back in here, and you're not catching it at the bottom of the arc, which is where the label of the hula hoop is here, at the bottom of the swing arc, which would be read on TrackMan as a 0 degree angle of attack, the bottom of the arc, you're going to be hitting it back here in the downswing, and therefore the shot would push off to the right, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Okay, let me move this back for you again. So show me now how you're going to make your adjustment.
So my flight line is still going to be my flight line.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we want the ball to go straight.
That's right. So in order to make that happen, what we're finding out from TrackMan, but which some of the more intelligent people had that in their head. Mike Austin had a TrackMan in his head.
I think Ben Hogan did too.
Hogan did?
Yeah, I think Hogan did too.
Absolutely, he did in his book.
Yes.
So what we're talking about here is a stance line that is left of the flight line.
Right. And we're just going to swing along it.
That's right.
Okay, simple.
The question may be, though, as we're doing this, well, how much do I go left with my wedge? Maybe somebody else is farther open than I am. Now we're talking about lie angle of your golf club and club fitting. That plays a part also.
Okay.
So, but getting back to this, let's say that just for reference, my left foot is pulled back 3 inches from my right, or from the flight line.
Right.
As I go to 8, 7, 6, 5, that's going to start to get closer to parallel with my flight line as I go through the bag until what?
Well, I would imagine a 3-wood would be the closest to square, because a 3-wood is designed to sweep, and so that's probably the closest club in the bag that we have that will be to 0 degree angle of attack, or just a flat sweeping effect on the ball. I would imagine that's the closest.
Right.
Okay.
And that's where you see those big giant PVC pipe looking things that would...
Well, that's the only club that would work with. Otherwise, you're wasting your time with one of those big hoops, because you have to turn the swing plane left. Now, what about a driver? A driver is going to be the opposite, because we're told by TrackMan that hitting 5 degrees up or more will give us our longest drives.
Right.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
So now, once again, the flight line is the flight line. It does not change.
Right. We're going straight.
Okay. The ball's farther away from us now.
So we're gonna put this on more of an incline now, right? Down to about 50 degrees. For some people, might be 45 even if they're a little shorter than Jerry. Okay. So now, if you hit the ball on the upstrike here, let me bring this club in here. If you hit, you got the ball up off of your front foot here, which is starting to now be in the up angle of this hula hoop, and the tangent to that part of the arc is you'd pull it. You'd pull it way into the trees on the left.
If we were tilted like a 6-iron.
Right, or if you were just straight, if you were trying
Or
to
just
swing
straight,
down the
or
flight
just
line,
straight, correct.
because you're not going to make contact here at the 0 point, you're making contact way here. Well, that part of the arc is way off to the left of our target line. That's no good. So I'm guessing here that we're going to do the opposite of what we did with the iron. We're going to turn it to the right.
Correct. So we're going
Okay.
in, out, and up now.
Okay, so under, up, and out, just
Yep.
like Mike would tell us to do, okay? So I'm going to take this plane and I'm going to turn it. Now we're at about a 45-degree angle, so now we're only at about a 1-to-1 ratio of up to out to the right. So I'm turning this about 5 degrees now. And now how are you going to adjust your feet?
What I don't want to do is
Mm-hmm.
keep my feet square and kind of tilt my shoulders to match that
That's a
plane.
different swing.
Yeah, now we're changing the swing. It's no longer one swing.
Okay,
we
well, let's
went-
keep it simpler than
That's
that.
right. We're taking our stance.
Okay.
And we're going to pull that right foot back a little bit.
Okay.
And that's going to change from person to person. But we're also moving that ball, the ball position farther forward,
Right.
okay, to catch that ball in the upswing. like
on
we
the
just
way
talked
up,
about,
right,
up in here.
right.
Not down there.
Right.
Definitely not back there.
Definitely.
So we're up in here now.
Okay.
And you can see that I've taken my stance and I pull that right foot back to kind of match that 5 degrees out and up
Okay.
feeling that I want to get, and hopefully it'll show
Okay.
up on TrackMan.
So if we're swinging 5 degrees to the right with our swing plane and we're swinging 5 degrees up, you're saying that that's going to create a 0-degree club path and we're going to hit the ball for the most part straight.
Absolutely, because now we get to where
Okay.
we're talking about the club face being the predominant factor of flight direction, where the ball's starting,
Yes.
and not as much swing plane. If I catch the
Right,
ball
right.
on a 5-degree up and 5-degree out, right in those numbers,
Right.
that ball's going to go exactly where it's supposed to go, which hopefully is on my flight line.
Right. Right.